of our interviews with the podcast babes for our upcoming anthology, a book all about turning pain into power, baby. Excuse my hoarse voice because I have just spent the last 4 days screaming at the top of my lungs at Tony Robbins' UPW, which is an event that most of our podcast babes have met at, or many of them have met at. And many of us went to this UPW. We really got to see each other, and some babes got to be online virtually, so it was a really great experience. But this is why my voice may sound just a little bit hoarse. So let us get our next babe up. Hello, everybody. I see all my beautiful babes on. Let's see if I can get our next guest on, whose story truly made such a big... This person is just such an amazing leader, and then to hear how she, hi beautiful, how I was just saying, to hear how what you have overcome, like your story truly like brought me to tears, my dear. I love you. All right, so we got your face in focus. Beautiful. Hello, Miss Tania.
Hi, Kat. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yes, this is Tania Correia, Asunção, my love. I think I say your name a little different every single time.
It's perfect. You're getting so much better.
Thank you.
Correia, Asunção, you got it.
I think I pronounce it like you would say it in Spanish, but not in Portuguese. So at least I got a little accent going on, right?
Yes, it's perfect.
It's so good to be here with you, my dear. I love you so much, and after reading your chapter, like almost everybody's chapter was so moving and brought me to some kind of emotion, right? Where I cried or my tears welled up. But yours was definitely one where I was so taken back by everything that you have been through, and I literally cried because I was like, not only because of what you've been through, but just because how you show up in the world. Like, you're just a person that is always full of gratitude, and you're just always in a space of service and all the things. And so it just goes to show that no matter where you start your life, your journey, you can take control of your mindset and make a beautiful artwork out of it. So thank you for being here, Tania.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me and for inviting me to be part of this anthology. So thanks to you. Of course.
So Tania and I met at Launch Lab, which is a program led by Dean Graciosi in his mastermind platform. And so we were there December.
Yeah.
Right? December 2023. I always get it a little
confused. No. Last
2024. 24.
Yes.
Yeah. December 2024. We were there together. And we met, and we gravitated to each other just because you're such a wonderful person. So we already did some summits together. We've been practicing our sales and our branding and all these wonderful things that we've learned through Mastermind. And so I had already created the Podcast Babes community, and I was like, girl, you need to be a podcast babe. And it was the perfect timing because we were writing this anthology together. And I'm so excited and happy that you joined, because like I said, your chapter is so delicious and so juicy. And there's so much to it that I think that the audience will get a lot out of. And so talking about your chapter, tell us about, there's so many moments in there where I could see your pain turning into power, but take us to one where you really felt that you were able to harness that pain energy and transmute it into power.
Yeah, it's so hard sometimes to really figure out where, because it's a series of events, right? And so many of them lead us to that power, but then sometimes we revert back a little bit. But I can tell you that the one point that I recognize is when I was taking a trip to Hawaii. Do I have a funny sound? I don't know. I want to make sure that you can hear me okay.
I can hear you.
Perfect.
I think
Okay.
when I talk, there may be a little bit of an echo, but I don't hear an echo when you're talking.
Excellent. So I was taking a trip to Hawaii, and I recognized something because when I took the plane, I was given a seat that was separated from my then partner at the time, and I found myself excited to sit alone for 9 hours. But then someone kind of lifted their hands and said, "Hey, we can switch seats." And at that moment, something happened to me where I felt um, unwell. I noticed that my nervous system started to show me that I was not okay. And then it was almost like a recognition of my whole life coming together where you're carrying all these heaviness, but you don't recognize it, but someone triggers out of you. And then I went and I sat next to my partner at the time and feeling super uncomfortable. Then I met a girl next to me that made the flight bearable. But then we got to Hawaii, and just the way that we were spending time was making me feel really unwell, unhappy, because he was not very kind when he talked to me on certain, because it was I was in a controlling relationship, emotional controlling relationship. But then we took a trip to the volcano cradle. It was on a big island of Hawaii, and something shifted there that I didn't understand. And it was literally as if this air just moved me and it wiped all the feelings that I was having, like the heaviness that I was carrying disappeared. And I felt this feeling of bliss, as if I just recognized that I was love all along. And I looked at him, I looked at everyone, and I felt nothing but love, including the fact that I was trying to stay away from people because looking at others, having conversation was triggering him. I felt the need to kind of contain myself. And at that moment, it was almost like I just exploded in this oneness of love. And I recognized that there was this power that it was in me all along, and I was not aware until then. So I call that bliss because I experienced that so many times in my life after that, because I began to recognize that there's this inherent power that I can harness. I just have to allow it to flow. That was the beginning.
I love that so much. I also went to the Big Island and the volcano, so I know exactly what you're talking about. There is such a beautiful energy there. I went for my Ayurvedic training, and I remember someone even put in the chat the Pele energy. That's the name of
Yes,
the
Pele.
volcano and the energy that they say lives there.
Yes.
Um, and I completely agree with you. I feel like a lot shifted in my life after that trip. Um, yeah, and there are certain destinations like that. I don't know if anybody who's listening has had that, but there's certain places on the globe that they say just have special energy and that you transform yourself when you go there. And I definitely think Hawaii is one of those places.
My favorite place on earth right now. Every time I
Yeah.
think about where do I want to end up, it's Hawaii.
I love that. Well, a little side note. So when I went, one of the helpers there was Polynesian, and his ancestry happened to be the priests and the spiritual keepers of the island, right? That's where his ancestry was. And he told me this beautiful story about how a lot of times people come to Hawaii because they're looking for their way back home. Because it's said that Hawaii, when you go to the top of the mountain on the big island, that it's like the shortest distance from the sky, right? And
Yes.
so it's said that that's the way home, right? So his ancestors basically held the space for the spirits to go back home to heaven, right? Like that's what they believed in. And so that's why he says that so many people love Hawaii, and when they're there, it's that they're looking for the way back to heaven. So I thought that was such a beautiful way of looking at that. So I mean, I felt it.
Yes, and actually, so you talked about Mauna Kea, which is the highest mountain, right? I feel every time I go to Hawaii, it feels like home. I had my honeymoon in Hawaii. It just feels like home to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that that's a big tip for anybody who's listening. Find places that feel like home, right?
Absolutely.
So when you were writing about your chapter, what did you have any resistance of how to put your chapter out there, or how to tell your story, or any other kind of resistance that may have came up in the writing process?
Actually, I didn't experience any resistance. And I think because of that, I felt, well, there's a divine connection here, knowing that I started when you were about to begin almost like the process to finish the book. And then I had only a few days, maybe a couple weeks, and I was on my way to my vacation with my family. Um, I wrote it, and while I was traveling, it made me feel that it was aligned with what I'm supposed to be doing, which is putting my story out there because it's meant to change someone's life. My story is meant to be the breakthrough for someone else. So there was absolutely no resistance, especially when I had to go back to my childhood and seeing that little girl that I was and how brave I recognized that I always was, and yet I forgot my bravery until I started to write down. So I found myself smiling, laughing, my husband saying, "What are you doing?" Because I was just in my corner, kind of sending myself a message. And I was like, I'm just sending myself some messages. But it just felt connected. That it was, I felt that I was meant to do that. So there was no resistance whatsoever. I was actually surprised that I wrote, and Nina said, "It's great." And I was like, all right, I'm a writer.
Yes, I agree. I loved the way, not only the content, but you are a really good writer.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
so
that.
it was, your chapter was very, very engaging. And I can relate to what you were saying. First of all, your younger you definitely was super brave,
Yeah.
right? And I get what's coming up for me is, I think that a lot of times, not always, but I think that when we're younger, we do have this either bravery within us, or this unstoppableness, or these feelings of like, I can do anything, right? And then what happens is, somewhere along the lines, for some people it happens at a younger age, for others it happens as we get older, and like we go through these experiences and we start to lose a little bit of that, right? We kind
Yes.
of forget that we have all this possibility within us. We forget that we have the ability to be whatever we want to be. And I love how that in writing this chapter, you were like remembering that and reawakening those pieces of you.
Yes. And I see that in my kids. Sometimes I see the bits and pieces of who they're going to become, and I remind myself to cultivate that instead of stifling so that they have a chance of actually being better, like better humans, right? Not to have to go through all this process of cleansing and reclaiming. So now I'm in a position of power to ensure that they get there, right?
That's so beautiful. They
Yeah.
are so lucky. And I think, all the podcast babes who have children, or anybody who's in this work, they're just so lucky because of the fact that, my parents really didn't have these tools. Like they had some spiritual tools. And as I was saying in the last interview, my stepdad found Tony Robbins when he was an adult, and I started listening to his work at 13. But to be able to have these tools and to really be living them and then sharing them with your children is, I think, such a beautiful thing.
It is. Because I didn't hear of Tony Robbins until 15 years ago, or maybe even later. So lucky that you were able to listen to those tapes and how powerful that was, right? For
Oh
you.
yeah.
No wonder why you are today.
Thank you, thank you. It definitely helped. I have to tell you that it definitely changed the way that I showed up in the world, because I was very angry as a teen, an early teen, and then I remember listening to the tapes and really like just being in so much of a better space mentally, and just being a really good friend to my inner circle. So yeah,
Yeah,
it made a huge difference.
you are. You really are. You are the leader. You
Aw,
embody all of that, so that's amazing.
Thank you so much, my
Why?
love. I appreciate that. You're an amazing leader also. And so with these tools that you have in your chapter, you give so much juice. What do you want the readers to experience or to take with them or to do next with what you have in your chapter?
I think I lost you a little bit, but you're asking what do I want the readers to get from my chapter? Is that right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So for me, is really to recognize that we carry so many things. And when I say we carry, is really the things that we carry on the inside because of how we grow up, the things that we hear, the limitations that we get from our environment. But often we don't recognize that we are carrying that. Relationships, the wrong jobs. We choose to limit ourselves, our ability to even go beyond knowing that we are limitless, but yet we provide limitations because of that. What I want them to recognize is in reading my story, that someone like myself that went through all those trials and came out as a leader that I am today is because you have to continue unpacking the things that you carry. That means unpacking the shame, unpacking the doubt, unpacking the naysayers, all the things that you keep hearing that are limiting you. Most of them are not your voices. They're voice from someone else or their limitation from someone else. And we take that on to recognize that if you're carrying that, if you're stopping yourself from going after what you want or live a life that you are thriving, then you have a lot of unpacking to do and use the story as a tool for success and for empowerment. That's what I want my readers to notice in my story.
I love that. That was such a beautiful way to say it. It's so true. I have some funny names for the voices or the inner critic, some may call it. But it's so true. We tend to take on the voices of maybe the person who criticized us when we were younger, or maybe our caretakers. Sometimes it's the teacher who said that you would never be good enough, or somebody in your life in a relationship or whatever it is. And then that starts to become like the internal voice, and you start to talk yourself out of things. And I love the idea of just like keep on unpacking that, because we carry that with us, and then the load can get really heavy because we're taking all these things that we know don't need to take on this trip, right?
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
So good.
And I can tell you one thing. I had a teacher, you said teacher. I had a teacher once that called me a quitter because I was not following her path. I mean, what she wanted me to do was not something that was aligned. And I also felt that she was not supporting my growth. And so I made some decisions on my own. Today, I would say some months ago, she wrote in one of my posts and she said, I always knew you would be successful. That to me
Oh,
was like,
wow.
what? What do you mean? Because she called me a quitter.
Yeah, who knows? That's actually a great point. So you never know. Maybe
Yeah.
she was trying to give you some tough love, but that's also a great point, right? Like we
Yes.
see things in a certain way and we make meaning out of it. And if we keep on having a negative meaning towards it, then it can really impact us of negatively when we can just reframe it. Because look, maybe she always knew that you were going to be successful, but she was telling you that because she wanted you to be pushed to the next level, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You,
that's a
you,
good way to reframe it.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, right? But it's up to us to really use it to like use things like that as fuel, right? So
I'm not sure if it's me. I lost you there for a minute.
I was just saying how it's up to us to use those moments as fuel, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So, my dear, has this changed, writing this chapter, has it changed how you have been showing up for yourself or showing up for others?
I feel it did, only because it was almost like a wake up call of a reminder of who I get the bravery, the brave part of it, of my whole story. I did forget that for a while, that even when I was about to take a chance on something, there was always this block or this reason why I need to wait a little longer. And now when I do, I feel more empowered to do it because I feel I am the authority. Why am I even trying not to do that? And it came from writing that and from going back to that little girl that made all those choices that was not afraid, and the bravery that of things that are not even in the anthology that came for me later, and I recognized, oh my goodness, I was that brave girl, I still am, and
Yeah.
there's really no limit except myself if I become the limit, right? So yes, that was
So
the change.
beautiful. So beautiful. I want everyone to know that you can learn more about Tania at our book launch on October 18th, where we're going to have interviews and keynotes and reflection questions, and just it's going to be a great time. So come learn more about how to turn pain into power. We have a lot of amazing speakers, a lot of great strategies where if you're going through something, you can pick something up. And even if you've gotten to the other side of something, it's always great to learn how other people have done things so that you can keep on going and get to the next level and continue to build momentum and gain more power in your life so that you can be completely unstoppable.
Yes, so come to the book launch because you will have a breakthrough. That's a promise.
Yes, I love that. It's so true. I honestly had quite a few breakthroughs just in us practicing
Hmm.
for the launch. So it was a beautiful experience.
Yes, it was.
Thank you so much, Tania. I love you, my dear.
Thank you. I love you too. Thank you so much, Kat.
Yes, thank you for being here. And I will see you this Saturday. So at the book launch, and everybody listening to, come join us and stay tuned because we have one more author to interview tonight. And I'm so excited to talk with her. I will see you guys in just a moment.
Can't wait.
Mwah.
Bye.
Kisses.